is why I won't do 2 shows a night anymore, babe. I won't do. Well, what do we got here tonight, kids?
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the little-known facts about Tim Burton's beloved horror comedy.
Mr. Tallyman, tally me banana. Daylight come and we want go home.
Number 20. Most of the cast needed convincing to sign on.
Once you cover up the wallpaper, knock down a few walls, this place might just be livable.
Tim Burton was still relatively unknown when Beetlejuice was being made. At the time, he'd only directed one other movie, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, so we can understand why most of the actors took one look at this weird script and said, no thanks.
My good friend Pee-wee!
Hi, Mario.
Michael Keaton turned down the role twice before Burton finally talked him into it. Alec Baldwin was worried the movie could actually kill his career. Reportedly, only Geena Davis said yes right away. Considering that the movie was a financial success and has since become a classic, we're guessing the entire cast is glad they took a chance on it.
Go ahead. Make my millennium.
Number 19. Beetlejuice almost had a very different title.
I say we open it.
Maybe we should knock first.
Tim Burton butted heads with Warner Brothers execs over many things throughout the production, and the film's title was no exception. The studio didn't like the title Beetlejuice, and instead wanted to call the movie House Ghosts, claiming that name did better with test audiences.
Boy, do you know how to pick 'em. Let me ask you something. Is this relationship really solid? Do I have a shot at her at all?
Excuse me.
Sure. Am I overstepped my bounds? Just tell me. Come on.
At a meeting, Burton jokingly suggested they change the title to Scared Sheetless. When the studio actually gave that idea serious thought, Burton said he'd jump out the window if they went with it. In the end, the director held fast and got to keep the name Beetlejuice. We can probably all agree, that was absolutely the right move.
You know what's really beautiful about this? You 2 kids picked me. You didn't have to, but you picked me. It makes me want to kiss you guys. Come on. Come on. Give me one. Come on. You're hard, huh? All right, let's get down to business.
Number 18. The meaning behind the wedding dress.
I am utterly alone.
You might assume that putting Lydia in red for the wedding scene was just part of Burton's unique aesthetic, but many fans think it's actually a reference to a poem that dates back to Victorian times. The rhyme is meant to help young brides choose a dress color. It starts, married in white, you have chosen all right. Married in gray, you will go far away. You get the gist. One line reads, married in red, you'll wish yourself dead.
Where are you?
Dead. Dead ski.
Of course they're dead. They're ghosts.
No, I mean they're gone. Split out of here. Afterlife kids.
Lydia actually mentions wanting to be dead, especially after she gets to know the Maitlands. The dress color could be a coincidence, but knowing how much thought Burton puts into the look of his films, we'd bet it was intentional.
Call the caterers. Got a great band. Oops, we're gonna need witnesses.
Would you?
Number 17. An 80s TV star almost played Barbara.
Happy vacation, honey?
Manchurian tongue oil, where did you get this?
Helen got it for me in Oslo.
Although it's now one of her most famous roles, Geena Davis wasn't the first choice for Barbara Maitland. Among the actresses who were considered were Laura Dern, Sigourney Weaver, and Goldie Hawn. But at the top of the list was Cheers star Kirstie Alley.
Miss Rebecca Howe, Sam Malone, Sam, Rebecca Howe.
How do you do?
Abua.
And to you.
She had joined the sitcom after Shelley Long's departure and reportedly couldn't get out of her contract to film Beetlejuice. Alley went on to star in Cheers for 6 more years, until the series ended in 1993, and had a successful film career. Meanwhile, Davis turned in a flawless performance as one half of the naive but lovable Maitland couple. Ultimately, it was a win-win for everyone.
Perfect start to our vacation.
Oh, you'll feel better when you dry, honey.
Number 16. Burton had a specific look in mind for the effects.
I'm getting all yellow.
You might be surprised to hear that the budget for Beetlejuice only included $1 million for special effects. Even adjusted for inflation, that's still less than $3 million in today's money. Not a lot for a movie that is mostly effects.
You don't have an appointment, do you?
Well, we didn't know how to make one.
Appointment for what?
What do you want?
We need some help?
Ha! Already? You just bit the big one 2 months ago and you want help.
But that didn't bother Tim Burton, who was inspired by Godzilla movies he watched as a kid and the legendary stop-motion animation of Ray Harryhausen. Burton purposefully gave Beetlejuice a B-movie feel, with effects that looked intentionally cheap and homemade. Now, those effects are part of what makes the movie seem so timeless.
Ugh, deliver me from LL Bean.
I know what you two are up to, and you're not gonna get away with it.
Number 15. The epilogue was added at the last minute.
Cut! Sorry, didn't see you sitting there. Women. I don't know what her problem is.
Even though he's troublesome and actually kind of dangerous, audiences can't help but fall in love with Beetlejuice. In the first cut of the film, it was unclear what happens to the character after the sandworm attack, but in response to positive viewer feedback at test screenings, Burton decided to add a new final scene, showing that the ghost with the most came out alive, or at least in one piece.
Pardon me. Did you do that? Very nice work. Let me ask you something. How do you get him down so small? Hey, there goes Elvis! Yo, King!
Audiences loved the first waiting room scene so much that the director set the epilogue there. In it, Beetlejuice makes the mistake of provoking the witch doctor and ends up with a shrunken head.
What are you doing? Hey, stop it! Hey, you're messing up here! Come on! Whoa! Whoa! Stop it! Whoa!
Hey, this might be a good look for me.
Number 14. Catherine O'Hara wasn't the first Delia.
A little gasoline, blowtorch, no problem.
Today, it's hard to imagine anyone other than O'Hara in the role of Delia Dietz. However, Angelica Houston was actually the first person cast for the part. This makes sense, since Houston's look seems to fit well with Burton's aesthetic. But when Houston had to bow out due to an illness, producer David Geffen invited O'Hara to audition.
Gomez,
Querida.
last night you were unhinged. You were like some desperate, howling demon.
She flew to LA, but got terribly lost looking for Burton's office and never made it to the audition. Fortunately, the studio offered her the role anyway.
If you don't let me gut out this house and make it my own, I will go insane and I will take you with me!
Yeah, well, you know, maybe the house could use a little remodeling, but why don't you just leave this room alone, okay?
It worked out for everyone. Since O'Hara is not only perfect in the part, she also met her future husband, production designer Bo Welsh, on the set. And as for Angelica Houston, she'd get a chance to shine 3 years later in the Addams Family film adaptation as Morticia. Number 13. The number 3 shows up everywhere.
What about that guy in the flyer, you know, Beetle?
Don't even say his name. You don't want his help.
Everyone knows you have to say Beetlejuice's name 3 times to summon or get rid of him, but that's not the only use of the number 3 in the film. Sharp-eared viewers might have also noticed that Barbara says home 3 times to get herself and Adam out of the model town.
I'm not staying here another minute.
Don't pay attention to it.
Adam, we have to get out of here.
I agree, but I'm fixing something to eat.
Home!
Barbara, how did you do that?
Hope you like Italian.
On top of that, the pair must knock on their hand-drawn door 3 times to enter the netherworld, and they get exactly 3 sessions with their caseworker, Juno. Their house even has 3 floors, and after the Dietzes move in, the Maitlands spend nearly all of their time on the 3rd floor. For some reason, probably known only to Tim Burton, the number 3 has special significance in this strange universe.
Knock 3 times.
Number 12. Michael Keaton may have been inspired by another horror comedy.
Having trouble with a living? You tired of having your home's buddies violated? You want to get rid of them pesky living critters once and for all? Well, come on down and see me, folks, because I'm the after-house leading bioexorcist.
A lot of horror fans can't help but notice similarities between the character of Beetlejuice and that of Chop Top from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
I wanna buy some radio ad time.
Since that movie came out in 1986 and Beetlejuice was filmed in 1987, it's not crazy to think that Keaton based his performance, at least a little bit, on Bill Moseley's turn as the cannibal. Plenty of sources have speculated that this is the case, though Keaton has apparently never confirmed it. Beetlejuice doesn't actually kill anyone in his movie, so in that regard, he's somewhat less sinister than the sadistic Chop Top.
Hey, you. Hey, come here. Hungry? Come on. Hey, come here. I got something good for you.
Number 11. Beetlejuice made history.
There's a better way to rent movies. As many as you want for just $20 a month, and no late fees.
Remember when Netflix used to come in the mail? The company started as a mail-order DVD rental service all the way back in March of 1998. What was the first movie they sent to a customer? You guessed it, Beetlejuice.
Go to Netflix.com, make a list of the movies you want to see, and in about 1 business day, you'll get 3 DVDs. Keep them as long as you want, without late fees.
Many people don't realize that the company continued mailing out rental DVDs until September 2023, though of course the service became far less popular when streaming came around. In that 25-year span, Netflix made more than 5 billion DVD shipments and allowed its customers to keep the last round of discs that were sent out. And to think, it all started with this campy classic.
Come on! Hey, where'd you go? Oh, hey, come on! You gotta work with me here. I'm just trying to cut a deal. What do you want me to do?
Number 10. Many young stars were considered for the role of Lydia.
Well, I read through that handbook for the recently deceased. It says, live people ignore the strange and unusual.
What do Sarah Jessica Parker, Brooke Shields, and Molly Ringwald have in common? They were all reportedly under consideration to play Lydia, along with Jennifer Connelly, Juliette Lewis, and Diane Lane. The decision ultimately came down to Winona Ryder and Alyssa Milano.
Come on. He's just in town for a few days. It's no big deal.
If you say so. Oh, just remember what you always tell me when I meet someone's parents. Mind your manners, call him sir, and don't wear a miniskirt.
While Ryder was fairly unknown at the time, Milano had already had a starring role in Who's the Boss for several years. Ryder eventually won the part, of course, and Milano has since speculated how different her life might have been if she had been chosen instead. She may have been great as Lydia Dietz, but Ryder seems born to play her.
God, how can you stand that woman? Cut it out! I'm a child, for God's sakes.
Number 9. Beetlejuice is named after a star.
So, say it once, say it twice, third time's a charm. And remember, I'll eat anything you want me to eat. I'll swallow anything you want me to swallow. So come on down now. Chew on the dog.
The title of the movie might be Beetlejuice, but the character is technically named Beetlejuice after a bright red star in the constellation Orion. The red giant derives its name from an Arabic phrase that means Hand of Orion. We can understand why the studio went with a simpler spelling for the name.
It's him, Beetlejuice.
Even within the world of the movie, the characters joke about his name being hard to pronounce. Interestingly, his name is spelled not just 2 different ways, but 3. In the film's title card, there's a space between Beetle and Juice. This seems to just be a mistake, since even in the original marketing posters, there's no space between the 2 words. Number 8. A background detail references a real-life tragedy.
Adam?
This way, honey.
You have to pay really close attention to catch this one. When Barbara and Adam first enter the Netherworld, they find that it's not so different from a busy, disorganized DMV office. A woman's voice can be heard giving directions over a PA system.
Flight 409 is arriving at gate 3.
How do I look? There are no mirrors on this side.
Fine, you look fine.
Yeah?
Fine.
Thanks. I've been feeling a little flat.
The Flight 409 that she mentions is a reference to a real United Airlines flight that tragically crashed in Wyoming, killing 66 people. That accident happened back in 1955, and Beetlejuice takes place in the 80s. So why are the victims just now arriving in the afterlife? Time is wibbly-wobbly in this world. It passes differently depending on where you are. This means that people from many different eras could potentially reach the Netherworld at around the same time.
Adam, is this what happens when you die?
This is what happens when you die. That is what happens when he dies. And that is what happens when they die. It's all very personal.
Number 7. Beetlejuice almost got a sequel right away.
I got called in for a meeting at Warner Brothers, and they said there's a couple of projects that you can rewrite, because at this point the script for Chasing Amy had started to circulate, and people were like, oh, he can write after all.
There have been rumors of a Beetlejuice sequel for years, and it almost happened right after the first film came out. Burton brought on screenwriter Jonathan Gems to write it, and he created Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian.
So I went into Warner Brothers and said, we have 3 projects we could throw your way. I said, all right, what are they? And they said, one is a remake of an Outer Limits episode called The Architects of Fear. The second is Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian.
It featured the Dietzes moving to Hawaii and building a resort on an ancient burial ground. Beetlejuice would have saved the day by winning a surfing contest. However, Burton and Keaton got too busy with Batman Returns. Over the years, the script went through a series of rewrites. The studio even approached Kevin Smith to do one, though he turned it down. In the end, it never got made, which is probably for the best.
To which I was like, really, didn't we say all we needed to say with the first Beetlejuice? Must we go tropical?
Number 6. Michael Keaton improvised a lot.
Well, where is he? What do we do?
Looks like we dig, Barbara.
Keaton had a major role in creating the character of Beetlejuice, and Burton was happy to go along with it. The ghost look was almost entirely Keaton's idea, though the iconic striped suit was Burton's doing.
Where are you? Help them, please.
Sure, I can help him. You gotta help me.
What?
Burton also encouraged him to improvise, which Keaton did brilliantly. In fact, he was so funny, he nearly killed co-star Alec Baldwin. Thanks to all that improvisation, many of Beetlejuice's most famous lines weren't even in the original script. Keaton is a comedic genius, and when you set him free, you never know what you're going to get.
I got a card around here somewhere. Here. Who do I have to kill? Here, hold that for me, would you? There.
Whoa!
There you go.
You don't have to kill anybody.
Possession.
God.
Learn to throw your voice. Fool your friends. Fun and party.
Number 5. The original script was very different.
Nobody says the B word. Come on.
Do you take this woman to be your wedded wife?
Jeez, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a big decision, isn't it? I mean, I always said if I ever did it, I was going to do it once, and that was it.
Believe it or not, Beetlejuice wasn't originally conceived as a comedy. The first version of the script was a lot darker. The character of Beetlejuice was totally different. Instead of a deceased human, he would have been a demon with wings who took the form of a Middle Eastern man. He was a lot less funny and a lot more malevolent. The Maitlands' car crash would have been more gruesome, and the film would have ended with Lydia dying in a fire. In another ending that was considered, Beetlejuice is destroyed during an exorcism. The Maitlands are shrunk down and move into the model version of their house. After multiple rewrites, we finally got the Beetlejuice we know and love.
She's a little bit nervous. Maybe I should answer for her, okay?
I'm Lydia Dietz and I'm of sound mind. The man next to me is the one I want. You ask me, I'm answering. Yes, I love that man of mine.
Number 4. The movie contains Easter eggs for Burton's future films.
How long do you suppose we were waiting there?
3 months. I'd almost given up on you. I was about to leave. I do have other clients.
Are you Juno, our caseworker?
Yes, I evaluate individual cases and determine if help is needed, deserved, and available.
Tim Burton's mind is a dark and mysterious place. He's constantly doodling, often while filming. Occasionally, he imagines new characters years before they actually appear in a movie. In a bizarre scene in Beetlejuice, Adam and Barbara are summoned to Juno's office, and behind them is an audience of the dead watching through a window.
Will you get out of here? Go on, get downstairs. Men's room, are you kidding? They can read signs. I'll be right back.
Among them are a pair of red and green skeletons, just like those in 1996's Mars Attacks. Later in the film, we get a glimpse of a skull that looks a lot like Jack Skellington from The Nightmare Before Christmas. Coincidentally, Michael Keaton is also wearing bat wings in the scene, despite the fact that Burton didn't yet know he'd be working on Batman.
I'm not going to kill you. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
What are you?
I'm Batman.
Number 3. Michael Keaton wasn't Burton's first choice to play Beetlejuice.
That is why I won't do 2 shows a night anymore, babe. I won't do. Well, what do we got here tonight, kids?
We can't imagine this movie with anyone other than Keaton in the title role, but it almost didn't happen. Burton had a very different actor in mind for the part. That's right, Sammy Davis Jr., comedians Dudley Moore and Sam Kinison were also under consideration. It was Geffen Company head, David Geffen, who recommended Keaton. Burton wasn't familiar with Keaton's work, though the actor had already starred in several movies and appeared on numerous TV shows. It turned out that Keaton's manic energy and comedic brilliance were exactly what the character needed.
Ooh, well, we got the Maitlands. I think they've had enough exercise for tonight.
Number 2. The most famous scene was almost cut.
Otho, are you doing
Work
this?
all night and a drink of rum. Daylight come and we want to go home.
If you only remember one scene from Beetlejuice, it's probably the dinner party scene. Amazingly, it almost didn't make the final film. Burton didn't think the scene was funny and wanted to cut it, but thankfully, test audiences loved it.
Come, Mr. Tallyman, tally me banana. Daylight come and we want to go home.
The scene also almost featured a very different soundtrack. The original plan was to use the 1939 song, If I Didn't Care. Catherine O'Hara came up with the idea to use calypso music instead. Dale was the perfect choice. It gave Harry Belafonte a late career boost, and was even played at Otho after Glenn Shaddix's funeral. When filming the finale, the crew puppeteering the shrimp kept missing the actors' faces. Dick Cavett came up with the idea to shoot it in reverse.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. Beetlejuice is barely in Beetlejuice.
Babs.
Lots of iconic characters have relatively little screen time in their movies. Darth Vader is on screen for less than 12 minutes in the original Star Wars, and Hannibal Lecter gets just 16 minutes in The Silence of the Lambs. The same is true for Beetlejuice.
Well, look, in order to do that, I'm really gonna have to get to know you guys. You know, we gotta get closer. Move in with you for a while. Get to be real pals. You know what I'm saying? Save that guy for later.
The troublesome ghost only appears for about 17 minutes out of the hour-and-a-half-long film. That's probably for the best. The character is so over the top that watching him for too long would be exhausting. Michael Keaton only had to spend 2 weeks on set filming. Beetlejuice makes quite an impression considering how little we see of him, and always leaves us wanting more.
What are your qualifications?
Well, I attended Juilliard. I'm a graduate of the Harvard Business School. I travel quite extensively. I lived through the Black Plague, and I had a pretty good time during that. I've seen The Exorcist about 167 times, and it keeps getting funnier every single time I see it!
Which Beetlejuice fact surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments.
Hey, these aren't my rules. Come to think of it, I don't have any rules.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.